from someone else. If you want to read this, I recommend do not read the introduction at all costs, because it just gives away the entire plot. I was trying to be chronological and it kind of ruined the experience for me. A Helping Hand is about a couple that is in their like they're like 50, 60, I don't know, they're adults, full grown adults, and they basically take advantage of this old lady and take all of her money, and it's like this suburban horror story about how people are horrible and naive people are getting taken advantage of. It's like a really good story, but I think I gave it like a 3 stars or something, just because the introduction ruined it for me, because it just said everything that was gonna happen. I was really invested and I did finish reading this quite quickly. It is an old-timey kind of writing, so if you don't like that, maybe it's not gonna be for you, but it's a quick, short read that I thought was interesting because I've never read a suburban horror before. I recommend if you want to try something new. Next up, sorry I'm being so like, I'm wearing like the earphones backwards and I think they might pop out any minute. This is not a chronological order of how I read these, by the way. But I read this teen YA fiction fantasy YA fantasy called Cinderella is Dead by Kaylin Bayron. I really enjoyed it. It is no means perfect, but I think it's intended for a little bit of a younger audience, which is totally fine, and that's why I still gave it a 5-star rating, because I just personally really enjoyed it. It is a sapphic story, so there is a little bit of a romance in there, although I'd say like the character was, I don't know what she was thinking, but she clearly didn't have any loyalties, because she basically like jumped onto a new love interest so quick, and I was just like, what? But besides that, it was like pretty interesting. It's a Cinderella retelling. It is a series. I'm not sure if I'll continue, but I like it for a quick fun read. And I really like this cover. There's another cover that is not as pretty, but this cover is just gorgeous. Just look at it. So gorgeous. And next up, I've got another book that I didn't really like. I think this is one of the worst reads of the year for me. I thought it was so disappointing, and people really loved this author's work, and they were also disappointed. It's by Percival Everett, and it's called Dr. No. I read the back, it intrigued me, but I don't think it was as well executed. It is like a play on Dr. No is like one of the Bond villains, and it was like a play on that. There's a mathematician who has an expertise in nothing, quite literally, and he is like recruited by this person who wants to be a villain and is like evil, and they go on this mission to steal nothing, and there's like this word play about nothing the whole time, and I'm just like, it kind of loses its charm throughout the book. I thought there were so many funny parts, but also like most of the part was like a snooze fest, so I gave it a 1 star. Maybe I'll need to like try out his different work, because the writing style is very interesting and I've never read something like this before. It's an interesting concept that I don't think was executed very well. So I gave it 1 star. I would not recommend this book, to be honest. If you find it at a thrift shop, then go ahead, but otherwise no. Another one that I thought was first part and the last part, and I actually had to I stopped reading it halfway through because I was just so bored with it, and I picked it back up at the end of the year because I wanted to, get my reading count up and just finish books that I've started and just left, because I do it if I'm bored. I'll just leave the book and I'll continue later, and this is what I've done with this one. And I did really like the audio version of this actually, so maybe that will be better to get through this. It is a very depressing story, I'll say that. Maybe that's why, but I gave it a 3 stars. Like I said, I really enjoyed the beginning and the end. I think Meg Mason's writing is really good. There were very funny moments, very sad moments, but something was lost somewhere. I think it dragged on too much. Yeah, she was also very insufferable to read about. And that's the case with mental illness and stuff like that, but I don't think Meg Mason needed to have written her so unlikable. It's just gonna alienate people with mental health issues or something. If somebody reads this, they're gonna think everyone with a mental health problem is they're really annoying or something. But it does convey what it's like to, if somebody in your life has this debilitating mental health condition and they affect you. It shows up very well. The way that they push everybody away and they hurt everyone around them, their loved ones. It did show that really well. So I give it a 3. It's kind of average book for me, but it did win. It got longlisted for the Women's Prize for Fiction in 2022. So next up, I read the first 2 books in the Good Girl's Guide to Murder series, and I gave both of them a 5-star. I'm not too critical with ratings. I'm not the person to give 3.5 to 7.5. I don't do that. I just, if I liked it, I'll just give it 5 stars. This was very entertaining for me. I read the first one and this one, Good Girl Bad Blood, this year, and I'm gonna like, if you have any romance books that you think I would like, after watching this video, let me know. But this first one that I read, so the first book ever that I read of Taylor Jenkins was Malibu Rising, and I fucking love that book. 5 out of 5. Like, I recommend it to anybody. And this one is called After I Do. It follows these two characters. I'm not really good with name remembering. Lauren and Ryan. So they met when they were in college, and I think I like them because they're kind of relatable, because like I just left university. It's like the same age range. So they meet in college and they fall in love. They get married, and after some time, so you basically follow their falling in love journey in the first half, and then falling apart journey in the middle half, and then whatever happens next. It is a really good one. I really enjoyed it. I think I gave it a 4 stars, if I'm not mistaken. A lot of people have an issue with this one because it's kind of like they're together in the marriage, but like they are separated, and they're seeing other people to see, like, do they want to explore other options, or do they want to, come back to each other, and they are just like making a mistake. I don't know, they're just like going through this thing where a lot of communication problems are there, and they're not telling each other everything, and that kind of like snowballs into a lot of issues, right? So to fix their issues, they decide they're gonna see other people, and a lot of readers have a problem with that if they're like really into this idea of marriage that has to be like this like sacred thing, which you can't do any adultery, which in my opinion what they did is not adultery or cheating, because they like agreed on it. I don't remember if one of them cheated shows. So I don't know how to like tell you about the plot without spoiling it, but I really recommend you read it. Like it's really good. If you want me to spoil the plot, can you skip for 1 minute? And I'm gonna like spoil the plot. Just 1 minute, okay? I'm giving you a time to skip to 24:30. Goodbye. Basically, after he is lost, she rediscovers love again, and it's with this person that she knew from childhood. And I was just like, oh my god, this is so cute. And the guy reappears, and when the guy Jesse reappears, I was just like, this is fucking annoying because I don't like him. And then there's like all this forced, let's try to make it work, but we're like kidding each other that it's gonna work. And I thought that he was being so rude to her the entire time, and I cannot believe that anybody thought that Jesse and Emma should be together. I was just like, no thank you, I love Sam. And that's it, that is all the spoilers. Yeah, but I really recommend this book. I had a fabulous time reading this. I read a couple of books that I did not really like that I'm just gonna mention. I read Wait by Jennette Winterson. I gave it 1 star. It's horrible, don't read it. I read Valiant by Holly Black. No thank you. 2 stars at most, like 1.51. I don't know. I do not like it. Like, it was very weird. Holly Black wrote the like Cruel Prince, Folk of the Air trilogy, and we'll get into that in the new year because I read that. I'm gonna keep my opinions until I tell them to you next another video. But I read Valiant and I was just like, that is just a load of garbage. There was a very horrible scenes for a children's, like a YA book. It's not children's, but like even if teens, like, no, horrible. I read Salt Water, which I got bored of, and I kind of like flicked through all of the pages, and it's kind of like this coming of age story. A lot of trauma is being unpacked, a lot of family dynamics and all these things. It's written by Jessica Andrews. The cover is gorgeous, so that's why I picked it out, and I read the back and I thought like, oh, that's cool, like it's gonna explore mother-daughter relationship and stuff like that, and she's gonna go to university and there's like a different class. It just took too long to get there and I was bored, and I did not like the writing style at all. Like, sometimes I would read it and I would feel like this prose was laughable. It was a bit cringe, so I just like left it. Another one that I read and I didn't like was The Dead of Summer by Camilla Way. It was gruesome. It was disgusting. I gave it 1 star. It was just disgusting, and maybe some books are meant to be that way because it was supposed to be a thriller, and it was definitely thrilling, and like I was baffled like the whole time I was reading this book, and when the revelations would come up, and I could tell like what was going to happen, but it just like everything was being explained at the last pages, and I was just like, this is disgusting, and I was just like, oh, like I did have like a shocking time. I guess the book achieved its goal, but it's traumatizing. Do you want to be traumatized? Read The Dead of Summer by Camilla Way. Next, a popular book talk book, so I might hurt somebody's feelings if they like this, and I feel like I would have liked this book if I was in middle school, right? It would have hit me harder and maybe I would have cried. But these, like, I saw Sarah Caroli giving a recommendation for this. It's called If He Had Been years old, I would enjoy this, and probably it would make me cry, because I would be like, oh my god, this is so profound. But as a YA, it is not good. The next book I read that I did not enjoy was, again, I'm gonna hurt some people's feelings, was the first book in the Chestnut Spring series. And I heard so many people rave about this, and I was duped. I was conned. I'm always conned into believing in these things. I'm just like, they're like, oh my god, the male characters are so amazing, like small town romance, blah blah blah. Flawless. Sucked. It was not good. I gave it a 1 or a 2 out of 5. Maybe a 2, because like it was entertaining at some points, but most of the book I was just like, I felt like banging my head against this book. I was like, what is this shit? I don't understand why people like this. The writing was bad. I'm sorry to anybody that I'm hurting right now. It's okay if you like them. Like, it's okay to like trash content, trash books. Like, I read these vampire series that I'm gonna talk about, and they're objectively bad. But I really like it because I like vampire stories. So it's okay if you like them, right? But objectively, let's just all agree that it's trash. I'm sorry, I could not get behind it. I was very looking forward to getting that like small town vibes, and I didn't think there was enough time spent like developing the town. I think they were only out and about like twice, and I like read about bull riding, and I was just upset. Like, in real life, I read about the bull riding and what happens to those poor animals and how they get abused, and I was just like, no, I'm not gonna read them anymore, these books. And also, I hated the man. No thank you. And it was like, they see each other for the first time and they fucking like, oh my god, he's so hot, oh my god, she's so hot. Like, okay, we know what's going to happen. At least like give us some, I don't know, like a little bit of a slow burn, I guess. Like, I like the instant knowledge that they're gonna, you know, be into each other, and you know it. Like, going into the book, you know that this is a romance, and I'm totally fine with that. But the way that the smut was written, I was just like, ew, I was cringing. Yeah, maybe it's just not for me. Maybe I'm just not. I think it's just not for me. But the plot, I thought, was also boring. Like, I need something to hold on to, but nothing was giving. Like, I thought that the main character should have talked to her best friend more. I did not like the text messages that much. I don't think that they developed like her best friend's character. I thought that the whole milk thing in the beginning was so stupid, but the gripe with me in the first one and the male character was that he was acting like a fucking child, and I was just like, who in their right mind would be in a relationship with this man? He's so annoying. Like, anyway, but yeah. Then I read the third book in the House of Night series. That is also a shit show. It's called Chosen by PC and Kristen Cast. They're a mom and daughter duo, and they wrote these books like ages ago. There are tons of them, like, I don't know, tons, like more than 10 books in these series. And it's about a teenager who starts this like high school of vampires. Like, she's chosen to be a vampire. Then we learn that she's actually the best of them and the most powerful. You know how it goes, right? She's the most special person of all time, but she's also the most annoying person of all time. These books use the R word. They have like representation from different types of people, and it's cool, I guess. And the main character is like Native is so ridiculous to the point like this will never happen, like in real life, yeah, go for it. I hated the ending where I wish there was no like prologue. Do you know what I mean? Like a flash forward. I wish she didn't include that because that ruined it for me, to be honest. Like at the end I was like, oh okay, cool, like sweet, all wrapped up with a bow. No, we're not done yet, because you gotta see them with their children and all of their accolades of how they're like the most successful people of all time. They don't need to be that. Like, they could just be people. I don't know. I don't like when they do a flash forward unnecessarily. I thought it was unnecessary. It is about this ice skater and a hockey player who have to share an ice rink, and there's like this enemies to lovers thing going on. There's no logical reason why they have to be enemies, because it was out of their control that the ice rink got tampered with. But I guess it was like a fun read, you know, it was very easy to read. I thought it was a bit too long though, for like what it is. I thought it was a bit too dragged on, so I give it like a 3. I think it deserves less, but I'm just gonna be nice to it, and I'm just gonna leave it at 3. If you liked it, I'm happy for you. Let me just move these. I started reading Wildfire, which is like the book 2 in those series, and anyway. Next up of my roast of these TikTok books. Why, guys, stop recommending this book? Why do you like it? Like, can you tell me, like, what am I missing? What am I reading that is different than what you're reading, because that we have the same experience? People love this book, and I don't know why. Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. She recently came out with another series that is like a retelling of Neverland and like Peter Pan and stuff, and that is getting torn to shreds at the moment. But this one is like very well loved because it's kind of like a gossip girl, socialites, romance, toxic relationship kind of thing. The characters are so unlikable that I wanted to chuck this book at a wall. I do not recommend this book. I think I gave it like, again, I was being nice and I gave it 3 because I had like fun. But I'm not, I started reading the second one, but I'm not enjoying that either, so I think I'm gonna just quit while I'm ahead, you know. I really went into it with open and positive thoughts. Like, I went to Instagram, I looked at like Jessa's like Instagram, and I got the book. I was so hyped and all these things, and it just like enormously let me down, because the problems in this book could just be solved by talking to each other, and it's like creating, there's no issue really. He just cheated on her, and this whole book we're talking about this, and like at the end you find out who he cheated on her with, and I was just like, oh, I could see that coming from a mile away. The characters are so fucking unlikable. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. Like, stop recommending this book. I'm sorry if you like this. Can you like tell me why? Can you tell me why, so I can understand? And the other thing that I'm gonna say about this is her writing of every single fucking outfit down, like every single outfit and every detail is why. It's just like, is a very interesting book that is triggering to some, probably. So check trigger warnings. There is drug abuse in this. The female main character is very, very unlikable. Her best friend is really unlikable. Every character in this book is so unlikable, to the point where, like, I was just like, oh my gosh, ew. What is their redeeming quality? I don't know. The main character sucks. She is convinced that she can get rid of her problems without doing anything about them, with no effort, by just sleeping and taking these drugs that she gets prescribed from her therapist. Clearly, she is wrong. The ending is baffling to me. The ending is baffling. Just like this takes place in like 2000, right? And then it goes to like 2000, is it 2001? When 9/11 is mentioned, I was like, she's not gonna do something with that, is she? Yeah, she did. Yes, she fucking did. I think I gave this a 4-star. I don't know, like, it was a fever dream of a book. It was a unique experience, and that's why I gave it 4 stars. I could reread it again just because it's like short and fast-paced. What is the point of this book? I couldn't tell you. I forgot. It is just like, I don't know, if you have some sort of life experience, you don't need to read this book. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you understand that you can't just ignore your problems and they're not gonna go away on their own, you have to do actual work to fix yourself, and nothing's gonna be handed to you in life and all these things. Like, if you know all of that core lessons of growing up, then you don't need to read this book, because it was just, I don't know, but I guess it's like a unique experience. All these horrible books. I really like this one. Divergent by Veronica Roth. It's a YA dystopian series. The first book in the series. I don't think I'm gonna continue reading it, but I just wanted to find out for myself how it was like. This is the 10th anniversary edition. I really like this cover. I think it's gorgeous artwork. I really liked it. I thought that the details that were not included in the Divergent movie could have been really good to, like, support the story and flesh out the characters more. Of course, there's like some things that are not, like, there are like some details that could be added to the book itself as well, but I really liked it overall, and I thought it was a good experience to just find out for myself what it was about. I really liked 4 in the books better than the My favorite was Crush and Divine Rivals and maybe One True Loves. Those are like at the top. I gave this a 5. I got the second book, so I'm gonna read this month hopefully, or next month. It follows these two characters. It's by Rebecca Ross, by the way. It follows these two characters who live in this magical world where there are like powers that are controlled by gods. Honestly, the world is not very well developed here, but basically her brother goes off to war to fight for one of these gods, and because the gods are at war, every newspaper is talking about this, and they work in a newspaper. They're like fighting for the same position in their workplace, and she discovers this way of communicating with someone through her typewriter, and she keeps sending these letters through her typewriter and putting them in her wardrobe. It's giving, Harry Potter, and then the like wardrobe that Draco was using to send like the bird and all these things. Do you remember that? It's giving that, but with the typewriter as well. So basically, she writes these letters, and she doesn't know who she's writing to, and then it's explained who she's writing to, and then you're just like, oh my god. And there's like cute little romance in this that you follow. I really liked it. I really liked all the like war scenes and all the sad things that happened as well. There's a lot of loss. It shows like how devastating war is, but I guess in a less like horrific way, because it's still, I think it's kind of like it's a YA. It's like a YA romance, so I really liked it, and I would recommend you read it as well. I don't really like this cover. I like the US version. I don't know what I can do about that, but I bought the book so that I can have it and reread it and annotate it and stuff, so I'm very excited to read the next one. But yeah, did I miss anything else? I read a lot of memoirs as well that I like listened to. I listened to Jennette McCurdy's I'm Glad My Mom Died. I gave it a 5 out of 5. I recommend you to read that one. It's a lot of traumatic experiences being explained, a lot of mom trauma, eating disorders, all like growing up under a spotlight, being forced to do something you don't want to do, all these things. It was really good. I read Bad Things Happen Here, which was a thriller that I did not like the ending of, so I gave it a 2 or 3. It was like easy to read, but the ending was just so disappointing, so that I wouldn't recommend you guys to read it. Bad Things Happen Here by Rebecca Barrow. appreciate the small things in life. It got a little bit boring for me, just because it's very repetitive. It just like talks about every single thing. Like there's like 7 things or whatever that he has to pick to disappear, and every chapter is like unfolding what that means to him, and like unfolding like what it's gonna mean to the world, to him, people around him, and what's gonna be like without it. Yeah, it was just very repetitive. Next I read Arthur Miller's Death of a Salesman. It was like really short. It is a play. It was very sad. I liked it. Yeah, I would recommend it. I want to see the play though. I think it would be better seen as a visual instead of just like reading it. And then the next one, and the final one I read, I DNF'd, by the way, Cleopatra and Frankenstein by Coco Mellors. I DNF'd that book. It was boring. I'm sorry. And the last one I read was New Animal by Ella Baxter, and that traumatized me in the middle of the book. There were so many sexual, explicit things going on that were like, it's not like smut, guys. It was disgusting. It was disgusting on a new level. I couldn't, like, I read Animal by Lisa Taddeo, and there were like gory sexual things going on there. I thought that was gross. No. This was disgusting for no reason. It was this, like, explaining this process of grief that the main character was going through, and the beginning and the end was fine, but I don't think a lot of things in the middle was necessary at all for us to understand what grief is like, and for the main character to understand what grief is like. I don't know why she put herself through all of that, but it was certainly an interesting experience. Very different. I've never read anything like that. I honestly would not recommend it, but it was a very sad story of how this woman who was working in a coroner, like, she had dealt with death every single day, and she still didn't understand how horrifying it is to go through grief and to lose someone so close to you, because she like loses her mother, and she basically loses herself, and she doesn't know what to do. Like, she goes crazy basically, and at the end she comes to the realization of how hard it is actually to go through it. Yeah, I think it could have been done in a less horrifying way, but I think I gave it like a 2-star or something, 2 or 3-star. Yeah, it was interesting. Nonetheless, it did leave a mark on me. But yeah, that is all of the books that I read in 2023. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope I wasn't too annoying with my fast whisper, but this is a very, very long video. My new videos from now on will be every Monday, so I hope this is convenient and nice for you. And if you want 3 more videos a month, you can join my Patreon down in the description. There's always a link to it. And if you want to support me in another way,